Okay, so this video is about this light right there, but I want to start the video by showing you this. And also this. And also this. But also this. Yes, this light is compatible with the Elgato Stream Deck software, and that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to everything that's interesting with this light. So let's talk about it. This is the Neewer live gaming and streaming LED light. You've probably seen products from this company before. They have a lot of lighting products over on Amazon, and they decided to make a key light type RGB light with a gazillion functionalities. Opening the box, you will find a power cord, a power adapter, a desk mount, and the light itself. First of all, I'm happy they sent me the right plug. The two last products I received were not European plugs. But second of all, there's actually a ball head that I almost threw away because I didn't realize there was a tiny little box. Every single thing is, well, maybe not the power cord, but everything else is pretty much metal. Everything is super heavy duty quality. The desktop stand has those two screws that I didn't know what to do with at first, but it basically gives you extra length in case you want to mount it to something very thick, thicker than a normal desk basically, which is always nice. On top of that, those two extra points makes it super secure. Hey, quickly, check this out. Isn't that cool? Look at this. Anyways, the light itself has a pretty cool design. We can tell that the front is frosted, so we're gonna have maximum diffusion. The back has this brushed metal texture. That looks really good, but also fingerprints are not that visible on it. So there's a whole console in the back, including a screen, a couple of buttons. But before that, we have a border full of holes that is basically a vent to evacuate the heat. Something else that I love about this is that we have a 1/4" mount, not only at the bottom, but also on both sides. So that's 3 mounting points for this one light. All right, time to plug it in and take a closer look at the back. So we're gonna have the display screen. We're gonna have the touch bar, as I've been demonstrating. You touch it and you select the color like that. There's gonna be 3 little holes where it says mic, and it has a mic because there are some functions that will react to music. Okay, then we have the power plug, a power button. You turn it on by holding it down. The first knob being for brightness, and the second one is for multiple options depending on the mode you're in. And of course, the next button is going to be mode. There's a little USB icon, but we'll get to that later. Manually handling it is pretty easy. You're gonna have 3 main modes, which are on the side. You're gonna have the CCT mode. That's your normal white color. So you get to control the brightness with that left knob. With the right knob, you get to control the color temperature. None of my cameras really do it justice, but it basically goes from 2900 to 70K. I gotta say that to the eye, it is not that yellow at 29K, and it doesn't really get blue. It really gets very white at 70K. The color accuracy is kind of almost higher than anything else that I have. And we're getting in the impressive stuff here. The second knob actually has a button that you can tap, and it switches from your color temperature to your hue compensation. If you've been editing photos or things like that, you will know that there's white balance, which is, you know, the kelvins and stuff, but there's also sometimes hue compensation. Sometimes your images tend to be a little tinted towards greenish to purple-ish or violet, magenta-ish, and this allows you to compensate for it. Okay, maybe you can see here how slightly green, I guess, it's getting, and then if I go the other way, it's more purple. I don't like it's subtle, which is weird that they would even include this, but it's wild that like how accurate you can get when it comes to the colors that you want with this light. So this is not your color balance, and basically it's +50 or -50, or you can keep it in the middle, and in this case it should be good enough. Just in case maybe your camera is not that great, maybe you're using a webcam that's not that great when it comes to the white balance, you can fix the light to fix the camera. I know for sure the C920 sometimes has this issue with white balance. Sometimes it goes wild and you have to, well, you can't adjust the tint with the default commands. Anyways, so that was the first mode. Now if we tap mode again, it's gonna bring us to the HSI, which I believe is hue, saturation, and whatever. Intensity? I don't know. And of course, you can swipe with your fingers to pick the exact color you want. And if that's not accurate, you can use the right knob. Oh, I'm in secondary option here. Oh, I messed up. So if that's not accurate enough, you can use the right knob, and then you can go from from 0 to 360 on your red values, and it's wild how just precisely accurate you can be. Now, if you tap that right knob, you're gonna get saturation. And this is where it gets kind of wild because the colors are already pretty accurate. But on top of that, you can decide the saturation. So how much green do you want? That's even, I guess that's teal or something. So if you want something like a pink here, and you don't want it to be like hot pink, right? This would be hot pink. You want it to be more of a soft pink, like white, but with a hint of pink. This, you can do it. You can do it. And we're doing this manually. I haven't told you all the different ways you can control this yet. This is just out of the box, you plug it. This is all the things that you can do. Anyways, keeping in mind that at all times, no matter what mode you're in, you can control the brightness, right? I have it on 100% here because hopefully you can see like the effects on camera. Let's tap the mode again. And here we have the scenes. I don't know if you can see, but there is a bunch of them. There's a lot of them. Some of them, I don't even know what they do. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't played around with it long enough, but this is obviously like the police thing. Manual mode, you get to select those scenes and you don't seem to get to change like the settings or anything like that. Maybe the speed of the effect, maybe the specific colors. I know that the cop mode will have like multiple colors that you can pick. You can pick only blue, only red, blue, white, red, maybe white and blue only, and you'll see that later. But right now you can select the mode directly manually in here, including party and music mode, which will react, let me put this 100%, will react to my voice. Anyways, there's lighting. Oh, flash warning, by the way, huge flash warning, huge flash warning. This is lightning, there's fireworks, so flash warning right now. There's parties, there's stars, there's pulse, TV station. That's one thing. I told you there's 3 main modes. There's also this mode where you can change like the channel. I'm guessing this is for controlling multiple ones all at once, probably. I'm not completely sure. So if you have multiple lights, you can set them either all on the same channel, so your one setting is going to every channel, or set some of them on different channels so they have different settings. From my understanding, I could be wrong. All right, cool. I don't know if you noticed, but there's a little icon right there, and it's a USB icon because this thing came with like a little USB dongle inside of it, and it's a 2.5 gigahertz dongle to plug into your PC, so that you can control this light with your computer. So I went to their website, I downloaded Neewer Control Center, it's 2.4. Then I selected 2.4, not 2.5 as I said earlier, and I could control it with my computer. But here's the thing, you can also control it with your phone or your tablet, which is what I did. I scanned the QR code in the user manual, installed their app, and boom, super easy. I could connect it through Bluetooth, okay? That's one thing. Now, if you wanted to connect it through Wi-Fi, you can also do that because this is also Wi-Fi integrated. So they made sure that no matter how you want to connect this thing, no matter what you want to connect it to, you can, because there's Bluetooth, there's Wi-Fi, and there's even the 2.4G USB thing. I wish more devices were like that, especially for the 2.4G. On my tablet, in the app, I realized I had way more options compared to manually. Of course, for the normal white mode, I had sliders for the brightness, the color temperature, and also the hue tone correction thing. I also had this touchpad option where you slide up and down for the brightness, then left and right for the rest. I don't see myself using that because, you know, color balance is not something you just eyeball most of the time, but it's cool that I have that option. If you don't want to use the sliders, there's also plus and minus buttons right next to them, so you can go with increments of 1 to be super precise. The other option that I had was light source, so I can tell it to imitate a specific light source. So if you're like a, I don't know, professional filmmaker, for example, and you know about like common like halogen light projectors and things like that, there is a bunch of them. I'm just gonna tap through them. And then it's basically changing the color balance, but it's cool that it doesn't just give you the typical, oh, daylight, cloudy, tungsten, flash, and then custom. It also gives you actual lights. So if you know what other lights you have and you want to match it, you'll know what to click on. Modeling lamp, studio lamp, tungsten, moonlight, sunlight, xeon, short arc lamp, and the famous Hollywood HMIs. There's also this other option called source match. Now, basically it brings you back to the main menu, and I believe this basically you just have to pick another light that you have on the network and it will just match it automatically. So that's cool, but I only have one light for now. Then again, if you're a professional filmmaker and things like that, you have a CTO B option. So on your HMI lights, usually you can put gels. CTO is usually color temperature orange. And then you have a bunch of options where you can pick specific real life gels that you would put in front of a light to emulate that, which is wow. For a light that's made for streamers and gamers, like this is kind of overkill. We then have HSI where you can color pick. There's also pre-made button where you can just pick and then you're good. There's RGB where you can just use sliders or red, green, and blue sliders to pick the specific color. And then there's color picker where you can use your camera, point it at something, tap the specific part of it, and yeah, and replicate the color. Isn't that wild? So I pointed at my screen and boom, replicated the purple that was on my screen. Then on the effects tab, this is where you actually get all of the options for all of the effects. For example, I'm on lightning right now. I can play with the speed, the color temperature, which is pretty nice. This is not an option that you have manually, or at least I don't know how to use it manually. You have your music thing. Here you can just select the brightness. Not much different here. Party, you can actually select multiple colors. Anyways, you just have more options for multiple things. Then we have the PC control where you have options for everything, but you don't really get all the fancy like filmmaker options that you get on the app. So the app seems to be the thing that will give you the most out of this light. Then it was time for me to test the thing that was like the most exciting about this light. Its compatibility with a Stream Deck. So very important thing is that you need to be able to connect this through the Wi-Fi. So your computer needs to be connected to the same Wi-Fi network. I tried doing it on my main desktop, but I forgot that I don't have Wi-Fi on this computer, which is why I had to re-download, reinstall everything on a laptop. And yeah, it worked. You get a bunch of options added to your Stream Deck. The options are on and off, so you can turn it on and off. There is set brightness. So that's gonna be a button with a specific brightness. I don't know, 50% or 100%. When you press it, it goes immediately to that. Then there's adjust brightness. And on this button, you can set it to be plus a certain amount, plus 10, plus 20, plus 50, or minus 10, minus 20, minus 50. So you can incrementally adjust it. There's a button for set temperature. If you want to, I don't know, instantly go to warm tones, or if you want to go to colder tones, boom, press of a button. Then there's adjust temperature, again, per increments. A really cool one is set color. You can have, like if you have a Stream Deck XL or something, you can have a bunch of colors. You just press them and boom, it changes to that color immediately. And then you have set scene. Of course, you press a button, it goes to a specific scene. This light is marketed for gamers and live streamers and gaming live streamers. And I think it really hits the spot in a way. First of all, being compatible with Stream Deck, I don't know what went through this, but I am thankful. I have to say that I'm really happy that Elgato allows it, I guess. And I'm also happy that Neewer decided to make it compatible with something that a ton of gamers and live streamers already use. That's pretty awesome. If you've been watching my videos, you know that my room is always lit, you know? And of course, there's those tiny lights like that and tiny LED strips and things like that, which Elgato has, for example. But 2 to 3 years ago, I actually pitched something exactly like this light to Elgato. And I guess they didn't like it. I'm not completely sure, because I know that gamers, we always have like a room completely flooded with light, and I personally use floodlights for that. See, with one click of a button, I can make the whole room like blue. My walls are white, you know, and it's cool that I can just press a button and have it be whatever color I want. Now the Neewer light is 48 watts, which is not so far from the blue projector that I have right now, which is 50 watts, which makes this light more versatile than most lights that are on the market right now. You can use it as a face light. I'm bouncing it off a wall right now, but if I want to use it as a face light, I could just do this. I'll put it at 50% like that. We turn off my key light. Or if I really bounce it off the wall, of course, this would be off frame. I could put it 100%. And now I have this incredibly soft light for my face. That's one of the use cases. But if this is not my main light and I really want to use like all the RGB, keep in mind that you can still use the RGB functionalities there, right? Especially if you're live streaming and you can trigger stuff and you can press buttons and just make it go back just like that. That is completely fine. But I can also use it the way that I use this other light. So this is another RGB floodlight. So this is like an accent light just for the side of my shoulder and my hair and things like that. And you can use this light for that too. Or you can just use it to quote unquote flood the room with light. Anyways, just to say that I'm quite impressed in that I am very grateful that this is compatible with Stream Deck, and which means that anything that Stream Deck is compatible, integrated in, things like StreamerBot, almost automatically, this is compatible with it too. And that's only good news for gamers and live streamers. I'd like to thank Neewer for sending me this light. It's pretty awesome. I'll definitely be using it. And I'd like to thank you for watching. If you want to get it, there will be a link in the description. But in the meantime, as usual, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Go out there, make me proud, get level, out. Oh, and in case you want to use this as a floodlight, you can just put it on a small tripod behind your chair. Crank it up. There you go. It's that simple. That's it. That's exactly what I pitched to Elgato.